Hey team, Coach Ben here to talk about our formation. So recently, we've been playing the 3-5-2 formation, and it's been working pretty well for the most part, but we have definitely seen some opportunities to improve. One of those opportunities to improve is when we get forward on the attack. We get a lot of our players forward, and it leaves this big gap in the middle of the pitch. Now what we've been seeing is their goalie or their players will get the ball, whether from a goal kick or a drop kick, put it over our team, and then they will have 4 or 5 players attacking our 3 defenders. And it's just not fair to our poor 3 defenders who have been doing an excellent job, but they need some help. So in the middle of the field with the 3-5-2, this is where we should be the most dominant with players, but we have found ourselves being outnumbered rather than outnumbering them. So we need to make a change. This just is not working for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to be shifting to the 4-4-2 diamond formation. And what that's going to look like is we're going to have, let me get this set up, is we're going to have 4-4-2. So we've got our 4 defenders right here, our 4 defenders, our 4 midfielders, and our 2 strikers. Now what you'll notice differently about this is we have a nice diamond formation right here. We also have a lot of triangles that start to appear on this pitch. So a lot of different passing options and abilities for us to move the ball to our teammates. What we need to focus on is how do we now play as a team in a 4-4-2 diamond formation. Now, if you play FIFA, this may also look very similar to a 4-3-1-2 formation, or you may call it the 4-1-2-1-2 formation as well. Basically, they're all the same thing. The things that I want to focus on with this is really understanding what it's like to play as a team using these diamonds and triangles. So, to help illustrate that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the field to show these channels on it. Now I want us to start focusing on channel play as we start to play soccer going forward. Now as you'll see, these channels appear on here. You see all these dotted lines that create these channels on the field. And I want us to start focusing on these because they're going to be very critical to how we're going to be successful going forward. So when you look at this, you'll see that we've got a winger and a winger here in their own channels. And then we've got 2 in this middle channel, 2 in this left center channel, and then 2 in this right center channel. As we're playing the game, if the ball's central, I want to make sure we try to maintain this formation, because this is going to allow us to dominate the field. Now, as we're playing, so if our center defensive mid or our bulldog has the ball, the next thing I want us to focus on is where and how we pass. I do not want to see us making passes in the same channel. I want us to start focusing on switching the channel, making those diagonal passes or completely sideways passes. Skip a channel if you have to. But I want to see us not passing within the same channel. You can hit a trail, play it out to the wing. So guys, I want to see it moving between channels, not that pass. Make those diagonal passes. Because what we've been seeing a lot of is when we try to make that pass, this player is on us, we try to pass through them every time. That ball needs to go diagonal to make those passes sideways, so that when they're shutting us down, we have the options to go diagonal or sideways to our teammates. With the 4-4-2 formation, you may think that it's not as attacking because we have 4 defenders. But what I want us to focus on is when we get the ball and we're moving it, say, down the right side channel, that this wing back gets forward. We shift over with our defenders. We have 3 at the back. And that diamond stays together. So as we move them around, we're going to keep that diamond formation. Now with the ball coming down this side, we did see this winger shift in. So we did lose the ability to have somebody in this channel. But at this point, we're not making crosses from one wing channel, all the way to the other wing channel. We just don't have the strength to do that yet. And neither do the other teams. So I'm not worried about that at this point. But as we're attacking, if our winger gets forward with the ball down there, we're going to shift everybody over a channel so that we are fully supporting the player with the ball, and we are outnumbering them on that side of the field. We need to make sure that our defenders keep coming up too, because we don't want to have that gap that we had between our midfielders and our defenders anymore. So if we move back to our starting formation, what I want us to see is if the other team has the ball, throw one red player on there. If the other team has the ball, I want us to focus on, if that ball comes over here to the side, if that defender has it, that we all shift. Again, we're going to shift one channel or half a channel to get over. Keep that diamond together. Everybody's going to shift so that we put the pressure on the ball. Again, our weak spot for the past couple of games has been this middle of the field. We've been getting overwhelmed, overrun, because we've had players not being able to either get back, or if this was a winger player, they'd still stay over here. And we'd only have the 3 in the middle to defend with. So going forward, we're going to play 4 in the middle so that as this ball shifts around, we as a team shift around. So we want to start really focusing on these channels to help us understand our positioning and how to play the ball to our teammates. So now, to talk about some of the positions in more detail, we'll start up at the top with our strikers. So our strikers, I want to make sure that we're always playing with a channel between us. If we're too close, then we are not going to be able to be effective as a team. And the best way to identify how big the channel is follow it over to the goal box. That should give you a very good indication of how close you should be. The other thing our strikers need to focus on is not staying in that one channel. Our strikers need to operate out in the wing channel and the middle channel too, depending on where the ball is. So if the 9 has the ball out here and they're dribbling it in, I want to see that 11 getting into that farther channel. Make that move. Because when you make that move, you are now behind the goal. And when you get the ball, you can easily make the shot towards the goal that way. Instead of trying to receive the ball here, have to make a turn and then shoot. So forwards, focus on always having a channel between you. All right, next position we're going to focus on is our false 9 right here. Now this position is one of the hardest positions on the field to play. And what they really need to be able to do is they need to be able to connect the midfield to the forwards, and the forwards to the midfielders, and all the way out to the wingers. This is the Lionel Messi of the team. Their job is not necessarily to score the goals, but if you watch Messi, the things that he does best is he receives the ball in space, gets open, and makes passes to his teammates to make his teammates look better. Yes, he scores fantastic goals, but really his strength lies in making the passes to his team. So what that'll mean is if the ball is back here, they've got to be able to come back and get into position, smart position, so that they can then receive the ball. Because our number 6 here, I do not want them passing it through to our false 9. I need that ball to go diagonal, then diagonal to get to that false 9. The ball can also come from a wing back to the false 9, or likewise from over here. But the point is, remember, we do not want to pass in these channels. You want to pass between the channels. So, with that said, our false 9's job is to be getting that ball from the midfield. So if we're back here on defense, they've got to come back to get into position to get that ball. They can't just sit up here at top as if they're a striker. They've got to be able to find the opportunity to get open for that ball. All right, now we're going to move into our wider diamond positions. So those players are this player here and this player here. Previously, these players were used to playing out wide. So if you were a winger before in our 3-5-2, this is most likely where you'll be playing in this new formation. So you're going to be a little bit more central. But remember, when they have the ball, And if they're out here on the side, we're going to shift with them. Don't need to stay super wide anymore. And so like the strikers, wide diamond players, I want you to work on keeping a channel between you guys. So if we're in our normal starting position here, we have this central channel open between us. And if we shift to the side, we maintain a channel between us. Now, as I've been saying, we need to focus on those passes not going straight forward. They need to go diagonal. So our wide diamond players, your job is to get it to our false nine, our cam, our center forward, whatever you want to call them. Your job is to get it to them so that they can then get it to the forwards further forward. On defense, it is critical that these wide diamond players come back and help defend. As you can see, if we're in this formation here, if we're defending deep and they're attacking us pretty strongly, heavily, we have 7 of our players back to defend. And that's what we need to do. We need to be stronger in defense, especially in the middle of the field, especially in this area right here. They're getting too many opportunities and time in that space. So on defense, don't worry about the channels. I need you guys to defend at all cost to win that ball back. But as soon as we win it back, break into those channels. Get away from your players so you can get open for that space. It's critical that we move quickly when we get the ball back. So if our center backs get the ball back and we're defending like this, get out to that channel, get out to that channel. Because if that ball comes in here, it can quickly be spread out. Instead of us being all congested like this and not communicating and not making good, hard, strong passes, and then they take the ball through and they score. So wide diamond players, focus on having a channel between, and you're more narrow than you were before. All right, one of the biggest changes to this formation is we now have wing backs. So these wing backs, their primary job is to defend. But as we get forward in an attacking formation or an attacking position, they need to get forward as well. They're going to be the ones who are going to be putting the most extra pressure on the other team. So when they have the opportunity to bomb forward, they need to do so. I know that they can, they've just been stuck at the back. I want them to be getting to the wings so they can be swinging those crosses in, and then we will have a numerical advantage in the middle. So in this example, we have 5 players ready to pounce on the ball, with the 6th just sitting outside the box. But again, remember your channels. So, wingbacks, your primary job is to defend, but I want you guys getting forward as well on the attack. All right, then we've got our 2 center backs here in the back. Their job is not changing much, except that we have 2 of them now instead of 3. So it's going to become a little bit more critical for these 2 to communicate and help us understand when we're stepping forward for offsides. Because that's one thing that we definitely need to work on as a team, pulling our line forward and pulling the other team offsides. We've had a couple opportunities to have them offsides, but we ended up with a center back all the way at the back, and then the other team came in and had the breakaway. So when we pull out, we need to communicate. Say, hey, push out, everybody get out, and move forward. Get the whole team forward, get that offsides line moving forward, and force their other team out too. In conclusion, we are switching from the 3-5-2 formation to the 4-4-2 diamond formation. And the biggest things that we need to remember from this is we now have this diamond in the middle, and we have all these triangles all over the pitch. The other big key thing to remember is our channels. So we've got these channels that run down the field, and we want to make sure that we have 2 people in each channel at a time and no more. The center backs are excluded from that. But anybody forward from that, we do not want to have more than 2 people in a channel, or else it's just going to get congested and we're not going to be able to move the ball around well enough. So make movement, work together, and make sure you guys stay spread out for those passes. And on defense, when we're under attack, we got to make sure that all 4 of our defenders are getting back to defend, as well as our diamond in the middle. And on defense, I'm not as worried about positioning, especially because they've been attacking down the central. We need these 3 defenders to really shut down the play, with our false 9 kind of hanging out up top, ready to pounce on any loose ball that comes out and start playing the ball forward.